Just like the human mind, film has always been obsessed with finding answers to the fundamental questions of life. Are we alone in the universe? What is the true nature of evil, and is there such a thing as God? In his book, A Human History of Religion, Reza Aslan posits that there is a built-in biological need in humans to believe in something bigger than themselves. He holds our desire to understand as proof of a piece that is missing, and concludes that for where a piece is missing, one must also exist. In the same way that we feel hunger because we must eat, we seek answers to some of the biggest questions out there because somewhere deep down, we believe them to exist. And film is no different. In fact, some of the most significant works in film history have dealt with these existential questions. Apocalypse Now asks the before-mentioned question about the nature of evil. Blade Runner asks what it means to be human, and 2001: A Space Odyssey questions humanity's purpose in the grand scheme of the universe. Most of these films depict their characters undergoing a physical journey along with a spiritual one, underlining humanity's inherent desire that these highly intricate answers may exist in a tangible state somewhere, but simply haven't been discovered yet. Kinda like bacteria 400 years ago. In a sense, the more humanity has discovered, the more lost and confused we have become. When disease, the weather, and stars were all controlled by whimsical gods, life was simple. But when disease suddenly turned out to be controlled by microscopically small beings, the weather by meteorological phenomena, and stars by the rotation of the Earth, the few questions that still persisted took on a whole new significance. Is it possible that our meticulously logical universe holds questions that simply cannot be answered? Or is our never-ending desire to answer those questions just proof that we simply haven't gotten to them yet? My favorite films are those that make these answers feel practically palpable. James Gray's 2019 film, Ad Astra, tells the story of astronaut Roy McBride, who is sent on a mission to the edge of our solar system. Roy's job is to trace the source of a mysterious phenomenon threatening Earth, the source of which is believed to be his own father. Roy's father, Clifford McBride, disappeared 2 decades prior on a research expedition. He was seeking to discover extraterrestrial life that might hold the keys for saving the human race from extinction. But whatever he ended up discovering instead has now prompted him to jeopardize all life on his home planet by sending back catastrophic power surges. It goes without saying that the relationship between Roy and his father serves as the central focus of the film. To Roy, who has done nothing but honor his father in every aspect of his life, these supposed actions taken by him make no sense. He's under attack by his own personal maker, the spearheader of humanity and the supposed savior of the entire human race. Clifford holds in his fingertips the power to both save and annihilate the human race, but instead of communicating any of this, he has chosen to stay silent for decades. He has turned his back on his son and, by extension, humanity. As Roy then goes to seek him out, he goes on a journey that's about much more than what gives on the surface. He doesn't go on a journey to simply seek out his father, but also on a journey to understand the enigma of God. Much like Clifford McBride in Ad Astra, Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now is also not a man as much as an idea. He's a literal manifestation of the evils of war. Kurtz is viciously ruthless in his treatment of his Vietnamese enemy, torturing them in inhumane ways in order to instill fear into his opponents. But his sin doesn't lie in the acts themselves. It lies in his acceptance of their necessity. Kurtz has made peace with the fact that in order to guarantee victory at such an inhumane thing as war, one must in turn forfeit their own humanity and embrace the inherent evil of their soul. Kurtz's superiors order him killed not because he's mad, but because they are unable to accept this truth. To them, war is all about good people doing bad things because they have to, not about good people becoming bad. Just like Kurtz, the truth at the center of the fundamental question posited by Ad Astra is supposedly held by Clifford McBride. The journey that these men undertake in order to find Clifford and Kurtz respectively makes those men out to be nearly mythical, but when Roy finally does find his father, the encounter is not at all what we expected. Instead of a godlike being, he finds a fragile man at the end of his life. Of the answers that Roy and the audience wish to get, his father has none. He has found no other habitable worlds and no signs of life outside of our solar system. His seemingly all-knowing presence in Roy's life is a farce. He's nothing more than a slave to his own inherently hollow obsession. In hindsight, the answer seems kind of obvious. Of course, one man couldn't possibly hold the keys to all that understanding. But still, time and time again, we are persuaded by stories to believe otherwise. Why is that? Is Aslan right in positing that the mere existence of a question warrants an answer? And if so, is there a way for film to help us get closer to it? I believe so. See, film works by condensing the essential structures of life into an easily consumable form. It can arouse your interest and make you delve into a topic you would have otherwise never given a second thought to. It can help you pick a career like Top Gun did for hundreds. It can make you laugh or cry, help understand how to function in your relationship, or why one ended up failing despite you doing your best. Film reflects the human psyche itself. Just like the black hole in Interstellar is not actually a black hole, but rather a mathematical reconstruction of how one might look like. Films are narrative reconstructions of the human mind, the thoughts and feelings that we all possess. So if that's the case, then isn't telling stories in itself an effective way of exploring these ideas and the places where they might lead? What if there really was extraterrestrial contact? What would we turn into if society around us suddenly collapsed? Or does any of it really matter? Aslan may be right or wrong in positing that the answers are really out there, but the perseverance of the questions themselves is undeniable. Just like the human condition, film is, by nature, unsatisfied. The ending of Ad Astra, just like that of Apocalypse Now and Blade Runner and pretty much any other film ever made, is existentialist. They reach far out, but in the end turn back within. Roy McBride realizes that his search for God is impossible, and that the only real meaning derived from life comes from sharing it with the people that we care about. Captain Willard ends up sacrificing Kurtz like a ritualistic animal in order to maintain the fallacy that man is inherently good. And Deckard chooses to run and be happy instead of searching for the truth about his true nature. For as long as no concrete answers exist, the journey will persist to be more important than the conclusion. And it is this vast space between our desire to know and the truth that might be hiding somewhere out there, where the greatest of films exist.